It's technology that makes a plump brick virus. The courtyard is equipped with a 5-barrel cultivated vegetable garden. It is not necessary to ensure fresh vegetables. Beneath the vegetable garden is honey, enough to feed your appetite for the next few months. There are also fully automatic ones outside. If you want to eat meat, just lose your face. It's a complete set of natural ecological faces. The epidemic of Lao Wang going to his father-in-law's house because during the Chinese New Year failed. In order to show his father-in-law what happened to him, he decided to go out and grab a few stars with his bare hands. The first step is naturally to have a handy. I saw him skillfully entangling you. According to cataclysmic powerlessness, symbols look at the weaving technique of the line. The capacity that will be available soon has faded. The finished pattern was taken by him. Just do a simple contour press. Then spread the floor with the inner circle of the fundus. It can form a clay pot for holding things. At this point, the pot was just short of a fire of coal. He fished it out on a stick with gravel. Just start drilling in. 2.5 years of fluid accumulation. Let him easily obtain the blogger. Then he put the can in the door. After 6 hours of firing. Can tell the appearance is a little heterosexual, but good but not cracked yet, and the charcoal that was fired and weighed is not available. I took it directly for the silver. Want to build in the wild? The first is to find a way to promote. Therefore, Lao Wang used homemade clay pots to smudge the clay-filled liquor method. I'm going to make a stove first. Burn until guanyan is integrated into tofu. He chose to use a daji and then lay it with clay. Then he stirred more delicately. Make into a forceps. Punching holes in the middle is to make the lake better. After it dries naturally, it can be fixed in the outlet. The periphery continues to exert force, until Jianghulu lay. In made expert, this raging flame. Take a picture of the alchemy sought online. Lost high intensity. I didn't let him forget to fill it in. Treasure, he was lucky to find a pair of pants nearby. His sixth sense told him there was plenty of food in it. If there is no accident, there must be no accident. There are indeed many wild dickas in it. Lao Wang wrapped it with lotus leaves first. Wrap another layer of cotton cake on the outside. This one called flower vine can be a good plan. The taste is naturally not so crunchy chicken flavor. Protein is not known to be beef. After he was full, he remembered that he hadn't come. No wonder I haven't been able to drink it this year. So he got a pebble of a very special shape. Just fold the sides into a flat. You can get a handful of rough stones. But the effect is still very good. A small tree in Wengtan is more than 40 years old. So I need a little more fruit. He uses stones to put concave towers on wooden barrels. And then we added the carpet. And this is what you get when you're done. People who can inlay recipes now. Because the grip hurts people. Lao Wang was also carefully beaten by camels, to be sure. And he made strawberries out of the bark, to hold the dead head in place. There is such an additional thing in this press. His efficiency has improved significantly. It only takes 10 minutes to put a thorn. 3 years later, than a monkey peach next door. And the small tree that was cut down weighed the same as a man once again carved the two ends into latches. The other two were burned with charcoal. Splice it together. Tools that can form a brick. You need to sprinkle the bottom of the mold before making it. The adobe made in this way can be better. In the next 15 days, he made 300 pieces according to the same method. Wait for nature to dry. You can take turns. And the firing process takes about 5 years. It's got nothing to do. It's starting to howl again. It didn't take long for a larger clay pot to be held with guests. At this time, the mud bricks in the furnace have been burned to Chengdu. It's a hard sound to judge. This batch of adobe is definitely awesome. What to make next? Lao Wang found it again for many years. I made a miniature version of the workers and farmers and then the ventilator. And the field version of the blower. Finally, cut the leaves into the right length. You fix it on a branch and you get a barren mountain. You can see that the air volume is very large. One more minute. But the water will bubble over time. So Pharaoh drove a few more laps on both sides, and then we used the string to make the component. You can get a mysterious file. Turn faster. the bigger the response. Satisfied pesticides. When the captain comes, many leaves are fully burned in the campfire. The resulting plant ash needs to be filtered, otherwise, the refining effect will be affected. Finally, add water into it and stir well. After rubbing it into the shape of my brother's basketball, it can be burned in a furnace. There is no sealed furnace temperature. So Lao Wang found a lot of wood. I'm going to burn some charcoal. The finished product from 15 kilograms of wood is only 3.75 kilograms for a while. With the blessing of charcoal, the temperature inside can even change for monkeys' fiery eyes, and the lime that you end up with is of good quality. After Lao Wang mashed it up, I went to the river to dig for fine sand. Add water and stir, it will be water. After the early slow flow, he's finally going to start preparing for the meeting. Lao Wang quickly cleared out a piece of wood, then start toppling the foundation with sticks. The final product is not very large, but definitely leave him alone. And for the foundation, he chose stone tiles. After all, I don't have many adobe bricks. Under the value of this batch of high-quality cement, soon all the foundations of the hut were laid. The walls of the shelter can now be laid. Sprinkle water on the bricks for better absorption. While selecting a detailed construction process, it also cost him a lot of construction efficiency. Wang Tia can only build one layer high. Finally, after 2.5 weeks of construction, all his bricks are used up. You have to go back into the process. Just a second. How determined is this question? Can make him so amazing. There are millions of men in the world. There is always a half-day gate. Have the last paper burning experience. This time the efficiency is obviously swing the second batch of bricks when using it. It's not very high. They use other people. To make it easier to build a roof, he made the iron air conditioner of the village out of wood. Help him sew the gable smoothly. This is living in primitive life. Lao Wang Gao can marry 10 elderly people, but not in the wind. Lao Wang decided to do it first. The construction method is the same as the wall. The difference is that there are first-class processes in this way. The follow-up avoidance life. The heat inside can be smoothly poured into. It's perfect. And then finally, he did a really neat job of laying the peak naturally extends outward. Now you don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. Careful, old Wang is still sitting there. Let the waterproofing of this row of connected pipes be directly pulled apart. The rest is the most important. Most of the forests are. Saves him a lot of repair trouble. He drove the garden valley one by one in the direction as roof missed. He has water fixed on both ends. This will ensure that the sticks will not. When he was done, he made the bamboo strips into rectangles. This is the formula for making mesh. The clay is still bonded with the upper soil on the small side. You need to punch the installation hole in advance before running to accelerate efficiency. He made a total of 8 such molds. Then it is placed in the furnace for firing. And you can see that the product has been quite successful. I believe you when you say you bought it. And the binding tool he chooses. Mash with a stick first. Then put it in water and rub it repeatedly. Just repeat it 4 times. You can get very basic planting. Fortunately, the essential oil does not take too long to dry. The next day, he weaves the dried fibers into what? Carefully tied to the roof. The way it was built, when he chose to cross it up and this not only builds a physical change. And the water resistance is rather unstable. He just built it. The finished tiles have been completely digested. Lao Wang wants to understand again. It can be done without burning. Soon second place. The best way is to dig through the ground. Then put it in to dry naturally. Finally, put it in the stove to stop burning. After being laid on the roof, this brick house that lasted for half a year. Then he covered the ground with coal. Then slapped the bricks uphill. For a moment, he wouldn't let go of the planes outside. Now this new home is just about the same. Lao Wang is so stupid. Prepare for a fourth-person system. He is now trimming to logs. It's then polished with charcoal. Then insert to beef cloth. At this point, just type this door shaft on the door frame, even if low. People for the convenience of the beetles. Lao Wang Rang Wahaha. Drill a small hole in it. And I'll do it with broken rocks. Cut a groove in the stick. Hold the drill firmly on it. Finally, put the disc and stick together. Tie both ends with a rope. As long as the rope is pulled, the shaft starts to rotate. We'll continue the process in the opposite direction. This saves a lot of time punching holes in the wood. Blessing lined with black technology. Soon he was wearing a jacket of millet on wood. How to connect. Natural input shadow. Although there are no modern tools, but in the blessing line of Lao Wang's skillful hands, soon a perfect athlete is made. Considering the comfort of living, he still tried to find it. Weave it into a mat. Spread on his bed just lost. At this time, old Wang was hungry, so he threw ants into the tree. This picture is a bit difficult for the engine. Treat everyone as an outsider. No white rice. In short, this is called master of flower language, but it won't last long after all. He also needs to solve a stable output. So he dug a hole in the door. And at the top of the uneasy scheme. And finally, the water gantry. It's not hard to see from this shape. Lao Wang wants to make a water stone. Convenient for follow-up feeding and not fill it with bricks for 4 weeks after completion. Make the shape look bigger than the hut. In unrecorded leisure time, he goes out every day to collect 10 yuan. He doesn't use those 10 bucks to make a shop room. Only animals have accidental births. Buy it little by little at Lao Wang. This home is also perfect. Now he's trying to find a way to catch fish. I saw him with towels on the slate. Tough guy with too big and too little. Then I collected some gum and put it in the fireplace. The culture of this pure natural adhesive helps him put the discs together. Form a wild version. Fish hook he uses the main body. As a master of time management, he placed directly on the shore. And we used a pottery tube and collected little blisters. Create an early warning device. As long as there is a fish upstream, the bell will turn. Then Lao Wang used the snail as a just throw the hook and wait for the harvest. He took advantage of this process. Instead, keep pouring water into the pool until after Lao Wang closes the line, just get a big fish. Then keep throwing the hook back. The result was just a minute later. It can only be said that the resources of fish in this area are very rich. An hour, he threw it to the sides. But considering eating meat every day, there is still money. So Lao Wang decided to make a few steps when planning to plant on a pond. The material is naturally still sticky. After it is done, it needs to be opened around so that the roots can better absorb the fish. It's fired in a furnace. When he was done, he cut the purple potatoes into small pieces, put it in the water and wait for it to germinate. During this period, you need to keep watering it. It finally took a week. His purple potato was successfully inflamed. Lao Wang carefully transplanted it to his mother, and stick a stick through it. Touch water horizontally in the pool. Fish excretion, we provide purple potatoes. And the juice of the purple potato has been lost. It also gives the fish food and moisture. It is simply a complete set of natural ecological fluids. Now Lao Wang Lian's reminder is successful. See you again. The next day, when he went to the forest to inspect, accidentally found a seatbelt, and he's going to bring it back into the house. The worries of looking forward to the future are like hatching small workers. A year has passed in the blink of an eye. The purple potatoes in his yard are growing very well. The passage of time is reflected in his hair. And the old king also received a rather small role. To celebrate this occasion, he decided to treat himself well today. He finished all the roasted purple potatoes, then knead it into a pie and put it in the furnace. Then he was caught in a river in the pool. Also put it in the furnace and pour it directly. This wall scene looks so good. I really want to kick Lao Wang out, and it's worth saving money. The star fruit tree at his door has been contacted. For this he used branches and bark. Make a simple picker. Just pull the rope below. Free opening and closing. Feeling modified to catch birds. Due to the lack of season, the fruits are immature. But this tart star fruit is just what he wants, behavior that can effectively remove fish. Lao Wang chopped it up and put it in a bowl. The grilled fish just came out of the oven at this time. You can tell it's about medium rare. He took the fish and put it in a bowl. Then add water to wash. Continue to simmer in the fireplace. This sumptuous meal made Lao Wang eat very well. Happy to come to the wild. That's a big picture. His life is finally back on track. And the quail eggs he took out earlier. Even Xianzi has hatched. It will look like this in a month. He's going to send this video to Zhang. Let Lao Zhang take a good look at his video. This is definitely smallpox in the wild. The man only carries a rock tool. Challenge a butterfly to survive in the wild. Not only do you make yourself a special medicine refining uniform, also made good and bad from clay. Utilize their own wealth of original technology. Build a solid brick map. When you are hungry, you can express it by making your own bunch of harmony. Fully realize your own life. To live in the wild. The most important thing is food, water level and destiny, but looking for a good place. Afu walked in the forest for half a day, only to find a piece of wind that no longer blows. It's near the stream. Not only can you learn here, and there are not enough next to it. Build a new home here. And then he polished it. First dance the branches above. Let the sun shine overhead. And there's a huge rock right below. I need my brother to be careful and anxious. In this way, one hit can control the battle. Reconfirm flatness. Afu went to collect a lot of minerals nearby. These are the best construction clients in the wild. Just water the stream. After stirring well, you can get a pot full of chicken. With 10 iron drums to take up space. The original foundation will become flatter. Although the creek is 10 yuan. But you can find so many flat ones. Alfred took 2 years together. Get a base trip? Then continue to pour into the room. Give the foundation a little dessert. This job seems simple and inconvenient. The only drawback is that it is more expensive. When he finally makes the surface look silly again. The size of the shelter is visible to the naked eye. Now Afu needs to find a way to make a replacement. The first step is to reuse the toy position. Remove a shape first. Scrape off the epidermis. Successfully use the saw blade again. Just fix it on both sides above. Use wooden sticks to connect. It forms a brick tool. Let me show you the effect. Generally speaking, ancient bricks have water. But you can also increase licorice. Prevent making real shots. The ancient bricks made by Afu are about 10-30 meters. It's robust enough and it's very popular. The next 15 years, he continues to return to the mansion. A total of about 300 yuan were made. Before using it for construction, it also requires a significant amount of experience. He first smeared a layer of red pulp on the ground, then stuck the finished tape on. Going to make a stove for special use first, so that the interior can be fully burned. The whole wall was built very high by him. So the flame temperature inside. Just store it. Burning hundreds of dollars at once is not a problem. When he was done, he went to the forest again. Put a few malnourished techniques. These woods will have formed a temperature. Just cut it into the right stripes. Overlaid in turn. And then fill in the gaps with clay. This ensures that no heat is wasted. The same method is used internally. After he finally observed, it looks delicate and beautiful. Then Afu came to observe. Living in the cave for inspiration. Take advantage of this time. He collected many testimonies. Laying on the ground as an experience, although comfort has increased. But what if the sparks go down? Fortunately, Alfred did not consider this issue. I also put the sweet potatoes in it. After waiting for enough to eat and drink, he decided to go to bed early. After all, there is still a lot to do tomorrow. The next day, Alfred was awakened by the chirping of birds. The adobe he made before. It's finally time to burn. The internal space of the system link is very large. It can be placed for 150 seconds at a time. The area reserved in the middle can also be used to place lids. For the temperature in the brick kiln can be higher. Ah Fu originally wanted to make something terrible, but using bricks to shelter from the wind and rain to obtain high consumption. The firing process requires about two people to understand. Take advantage of the short order time. He follows forward. Continue to replicate the second batch of work in order to accelerate the firing process. Ah Fu re-signed. Preparing to build an engine. To do this, he first fixed the Trojans together, and you make circles out of these homemade roots. Just appear along the edge. You can get a great improvement in the spray. Then use. Carve out the turning result above. The problem with the fan blades ended in an instant, whether it starts with the fuselage or not. Ah Fu chose to use typing. Finally, install a handle rope to the side. This bombardment is done. The faster it turns, the more airflow you generate. Don't look at this stove. It's very tight. But with the blessing of the bone agent, the internal temperature can reach 1,300 in weight. The next day, Ah Fu continued to give. For tables are installed at the bottom. We're going to use them. We're done. He starts by drawing squares on the table with squares. Leave the rest to the chisel. This process takes 10 hours. If you don't pay attention, the whole stake will break. After completion, you sand and other changes. Successfully obtained sets of tile tools. In order to facilitate subsequent cutting, of course, there are also cutting tools to be made. This is also the soil that has been passed down for thousands of years. Invisible tile making game. The best way for a man is to do a few invisible things first. The tool doesn't deform until it dries. And then you just sprinkle it on the surface. The resulting tiles can be easily demolded. After 3 years of history, Alfred has his first tiles. These are enough to make days. However, the name he fired before. The finished product is also very satisfactory. You can tell by looking at this. The type waiting for the car-like tiles. There are more than 70. Just in time to buy a house and be born. In the second batch firing department, all the factories of a Zhejiang Zupai. Just install it inside. Then don't know. Become lucky. The work of the orgasm department is on Alfred Street. He runs in the community. The teacher was also lucky to find a sentence. As a climactic player, Ah Fu misses him. And then I put 2 in the graduate district. This way, the leader can release the other to amplification solutions. For dinner tonight. This meal cost 800 yuan. Waiting for the packing to be completed tomorrow night. He can start. A new day has arrived. The bullfrog at the peak has been cleared. Bottom dry? He looks young. But not enough. A year of pocket money runs out. The material you gave him is still 1 year. Take notes to him soon. Here we go. A professional entrepreneur. 1 particle per height. All need an introductory performance. And use your own strength. To make sure that the product you remember will be clearer. After a week, Alfred successfully consumed all his aura. Everything went according to his plan. Not a single brick, without a rope. The higher the level of difficulty, the higher he has a long way to go. The system crossed China's railway bridge. Enough aspects to build half high. You can also stop in the middle and hit the road. Practice into a lazy bag of diet, if you can still feel it when a friend arrives. The whole project can be said to be very practical. Continued many years ago, Ah Fu chose the perfect Ping An first. Nothing, just passing his mind. There are more stoves than homes. Master analysis a few days ago when extracting materials in the forest. Found that the hiding under the tree is over. Yeah, it's good protein. And Ah Fu is not his heart and will not forget our family. After all, Sustainable development. He is a person. He will dismantle the temper of the invincible dog. Then stay in hell. It starts on the 43rd. Wait 30 minutes later. Alfred can think of this location. Even if there is still Bodhi in Xinjiang, come back. The forest path and the stream are also very humid. But Alfred still slept a lot. As the morning approaches, when the second batch of express delivery arrives for service, so Afu was quickly demolished. He put the material area inside, relying on the previous farm. Take a place up. Missed. He will never again. No. He puts his gun in first and it's completely gone. Then Alfred began to protect the child. Fill the house with 10 blocks and 10 blocks. Video of the height of underground street signs and walls. Every employee has a crew. He cooperates with the hidden purpose of time. I can guarantee that they will like it to the greatest extent possible. Not so much. Make it tiny. Notice the commune website where these images can be used. Just choose the lake design. People from Xiao Aussie Network, undo words, etc. That's the moment that's needed. Just started laying the mesh. It's laid with a mesh. Guaranteed splicing. 10 yuan can't afford it? 5 years after he fired it. Can stand up to his dazzling skills. Before you're ready. Alfred made it on the window. Although it looks casual, but when I took out the rough preparation, it looks like a piece. That's right. You should be on the road before a pregnant woman dies. Packed in advance on the way. This can be more comfortable for feet and hands when sleeping flat. It's almost there now. Don't give yourself feet. The 3.5 rubber band was hemp. Quote, not to go home. There's nothing to take off in the middle of the field with your feet. You can only barely replace it with plastic bottles. Then Rob will hold the last man's hand. It's good if you don't accept it. Moving to a new district for my wife. Alfred came to the west today and collected a lot here. Back it up. Just hang it on the hook and start. Although his movements are but luck is very satisfying. Heitao Bay harvests a big road. This made Ahu hit carefully in an instant. The fish he caught today are very big. To keep these fish going, Alfred decided to turn them into food. Survive in your own stomach. Still 3 on the butt. Maybe just leave 1 for good. Although there is no taste, but just looking at it makes people drool. At this point, the interior is still missing part of the comfort of living. He restored some. Utilized the original multi-tile mold and 2.5 days. Made about 50 hard drives. Naturally it dries for a few years before burning the paper. Can't be idle for a moment. How many more tree farms are there? Drop the stump into the grassland, then change rows at the bottom. Insert a turn in the middle. Then just connect the stump to the turnstile. You get a turntable. This turntable he's going to use to make a good start. After all, if you want to live in the wild for a long time, a few tools to reach out to you are essential. This is the level of craftsmanship. One life and 2 deaths. The rest of the deal is time. There are still some roads and roads. Small red characters. Of course, it will make the front better. He can't even get the video. Even if you like it. There are also masters and apprentices, and when it was done, he was walking on the platform, enjoy the natural breeze, cicadas and flowers, waiting for the last batch of floor tiles to burn. He just smeared the ground. Pad the floor tiles on it to make the floor. Afu's technology is completely speechless. It looks like a mouse smoke. Naturally, the terrace outside cannot be placed. It seems instantaneous now. A neat prelude. Finally, I tried to glow by myself. This was taken completely by father and son, and his previous paper burn injury. Became a woman of the world. Used the bag as an army. Afu himself thought so too. He took the fishing rod to the river. A long period of sporting brilliance. Let his toddlers choose one. Dad, what he wants is never. This one. To kill and hurt. He's still waiting for a few years. And Union Pepper shot. Guaranteed to threaten him. This platform and desert are real. In the end, there wasn't much cloud soup. After the 12th year, Alfred is finally in the original building. This is their life from the journey. Here we go.